the people what they want.
Absolutely. Yeah, I adore that philosophy.
So you're friends with the DJ? With this DJ?
Was the dead
What kind of music we got?
A few, yeah. It's going to be kind of like a more progressive house. Meets like kind of pop house for the kids.
Instrumental.
Mix. A little bit, yeah. They go ambient with some
that's
instrumental
just
slowdowns. They try to
turning
time with like the breaks in the
Brandon.
All right.
Yeah, they're a
that's
little
that
bit
one,
curated
right? Yeah.
for the experience, but
Never before have we had a curated playlist for our live stream.
I like to amp it up like around the afternoon, but the morning's kind of going to be a little bit more chill as people are waking up. And no, I like to think through the program before and make sure that it's tied to the music. Gives it a vibe.
Big fan. Gives it a vibe.
Water recovery training.
I'm just a big rowing geek, so I like to make sure that
We'll see. I don't.
that
Yeah, I don't
that
hear anything
exudes
on
throughout
that.
the event.
I kind of guessed from the shoes.
Yeah, totally.
All right, 10 minutes to the start.
Well, it isn't.
I think I can fly up there in 110 seconds. This is the last clock I had for a 2K.
No, I mean it's going to be essentially the same thing at Weira, right?
It's 2,000 meters.
Yeah.
Is this where Here Now operates out of?
Here now is
other
100.
time.
Oh, they're not.
Yeah.
Okay, curious. Looks like they're doing videos now too. I saw for Akron they're doing a video.
Yeah, I think they're.
Someone needs to. Holy crap! We need to get some more exposure to this sport.
There you
Well,
go.
they need more people need to do it because there are too many regattas on the same weekend.
Yeah.
I'm West Coast based. I was at Sac State the last 3 weekends.
Yeah.
Doing all this. We did Southwest. Southwest done very well, and then Sarah and USRowing. Come here.
Drones and stuff. Seems like it's all possibilities for video.
DJI and the companies they're getting better on the cinematic side because there's the
You're looking at the water.
oh,
I
but
can
the guy
see
sitting
that.
here, he has one that's more for engineering and surveying, and they're not so good on cinematic.
Yeah.
And just because it's a bigger drone doesn't mean it's not.
Okay. Well, I was just seeing this thing on on Ukraine and how crazy the best ones are these little DJI drones, and they like outlawed them because they're so dangerous. They're so potent.
Oh no.
Well, they're making mods.
Oh yeah, they're dropping stuff.
I've just been doing this for a few years now, so we took a break for COVID, obviously.
What do you do in real life?
Yeah, I'm a
DJ or something?
no, not at all.
Exactly.
I'm a consultant with Alaska
So
Native
y'all
Tribes,
just kind of doing
with Alaska Native Tribes.
systems, right?
And I'm also a lawyer for the EPA, and I do work with nonprofits.
Yeah. I had him do
One
that.
back there in the blue tent, the George Pocock Rowing Foundation. Yeah.
What's your last name?
My last name is Kuntz.
Wait, say that again? Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. And
That grant's not plugged in. That's why I don't have it.
bringing the girls
In what like sector or industry?
that I have
Well, with
summer camps at Wisconsin,
Lloyd.
and then I have
Oh, okay, so
that
he's-
stay Wisconsin now.
Is he with the bar?
No, he's not with the bar. So people who need to be defended,
But yeah, it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's the same weird feel out there.
and then people call us, that's why I'm calling and just saying, can I do this?
Yeah, that's
How
really
can I
important.
handle this?
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a very important field.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I never know who he's talking about.
Yeah.
Very much about the same thing, kind of interesting.
Absolutely. It's such a squishy area of water.
Yeah.
A very agile mind.
Wait, who's your daughter again? Aspen. Oh yeah, Aspen helped me out yesterday making a little sign. That was City
Well, he had one recently, and he's like, I don't know much about this area.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
But
Oh no.
the guy.
Oh, yeah.
No, I can show you this, send you this. There's a lot.
Yeah. You'd be surprised though. What those little power tech. At least.
Well, he's one of the better ethics attorneys then.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah. The start list has not shown up.
So you do native law, or is it native law vis-a-vis?
Native law vis-a-vis like grants. I really like being popular before. There's so much money on it. It just really requires, especially for tribes.
Here now must have been doing something on the side.
I don't want to know. Keep watching that. Make sure it's not yours.
Okay.
Having to justify it.
Nope, that actually.
Hey, they're using a car horn like I do.
Yeah.
Testing.
Yeah, just that one.
But when she gets to wherever she ends up.
I get very little. Yeah, you don't need to turn up much.
Testing. Testing. How are we coming through? Us?
Literally, keep. Yeah.
Great.
You're good.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second day of the Pacific Northwest Regional Championship Regatta 2023. We are coming at you with some finals this morning. The men's youth single sculls had a really fun riotous time in the time trials yesterday. We had some healthy headwind, or rather tailwind, and it looks like we're mobbing with a slight cross tailwind this morning. Plenty of action to be seen today. And we are live on YouTube, or so I'm told, with USRowing. The very capable hands of their team arrived in the night like Santa's helpers and just upgraded our system tenfold. We are so grateful. The crowd on the shore is lively. Our vendors behind the tent are ready to wow you with their wares. And we've got a wonderful list of sponsors that I will be thanking throughout the event. But for now, I just wanted to give a big shout out to the USRowing crew, all the volunteers and officials that are making today happen, and especially all of the coaches and parents that were able to enable today's regatta. So thank you. Hold on tight. We're going to be starting real soon.
And again, if you just want to turn it off, just go ahead and hit the mute button rather than trying to adjust it.
Right wherever
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first event starting to line up, getting ready to go. We have 6 boats across for our men's youth single scull final. This is the first side-by-side final that we're having all weekend. Yesterday, in case you missed it, was a riveting bunch of time trials. And the time trial format is 1,900 meters with a rolling start. They kind of get all the boats going like a conveyor belt. You build up to full speed as you approach that start line. And then you rip and you roar, kind of by yourself, but sometimes not. There was some overlap. There was some overtaking. in those time trials yesterday, which leads me to believe that we're going to see some speed today. Because you do have to pour it all on the line with your time trial. You don't know how fast the other boats are going to go. There's no basis for comparison. But today, we're going to have plenty of basis for comparison as we get 6 boats side by side. We have representation today from Renton, Olympia Area Rowing, Lake Oswego, Seattle Prep, Vancouver Lake, and Seattle Scullers in Lane 6. And it does look like it is a little bit tricky getting their bows aligned with that wind that they're experiencing. Excuse me.
Do you want to remind people which lane? Did you already do that? Because we've had questions. Which one is one?
Because data.
And lane 1 is going to be closest to the shore. That is Renton Rowing. Lane 2, Olympia area. I'm told that was an error.
Oh. One is down here on camera.
Hold on, folks. We are figuring out our lane orientation. Be right back. And they're off, ladies and gentlemen. We are ripping and roaring. Vancouver Lake, it's 59 degrees, and we are operating with a slight northwest tailwind. And right away, we're seeing some acceleration. My goodness. A lot of connection in the water with these scullers, and definitely some technical proficiency, especially with our race leader right now.
Gotta go get a shirt.
And Seattle Scullers having a little bit of a bout right now with Vancouver Lake. I think Vancouver Lake just overtook Seattle Scullers. This is happening on the upper end of your screen for the broadcast. And it looks like Vancouver Lake has about a seat on Seattle Scullers in lane 6. At the bottom of your screen, Renton and Olympia area bringing up the pack, and in the middle, Lake Oswego and Seattle Prep in lane 4 there in that white boat. Vancouver Lake in lane 5 does have open water, a slight margin of open water. Lane 2, however, Olympia area, is starting to accelerate and I think has just rode through lane 6's Seattle Scullers. So right now Vancouver Lake is contending for that lead position. However, it looks like Olympia is starting to gain a little bit more water. I think there is some overlap, or about to be, with those bows and sterns. One of the intricacies of rowing into a tailwind is that it is harder to get your blades in, so technical proficiency at the catch makes all the difference here.
If they were still ahead or not, but that's fine.
And we are still showing Vancouver Lake in the lead. To those just joining us, welcome to the 2023 Northwest Youth Regional Championship Regatta here in lovely Vancouver Lake. We are rocking and rolling with the men's youth single scull finals right now. Our first side-by-side final of the weekend. All right, and Vancouver Lake is still in the lead. However, Olympia has started to claw into their bow decks. It looks like just a deck separates them. The angle's a little bit tough to tell on the shore, but we have a drone in the sky that is giving you accurate and up-to-date information, as interpreted by the USRowing team here today. First race of the day, and we are showing some contact for the bronze medal position as well. It looks like a little battle between Seattle Prep and Lake Oswego is occurring. Meanwhile, Olympia is just about getting even with Vancouver Lake. We've got a real struggle for first tier, folks, and a big race for the second tier as well. Lake Oswego and Seattle Prep are just about even. My goodness. It's turning into a barn burner. Olympia is putting on a little bit of speed. They just upped their rate. Some shorter strokes, but with more punchy cadence off the catch. Seeing a lot of acceleration off of that bow deck from Olympia right now. And these tailwind conditions definitely helping out with some speedy sends at the finish as well. And it does look like Vancouver is faded back. Olympia has taken a definitive lead. However, it's pretty clear to see that these scullers are hurting right now. It's a lot of race to be had. They all raced yesterday, and it's exhausting out there. Sometimes you write checks that the body can't cash. And that might be the case today as the middle of the field starts to gain on Olympia. We're seeing Lake Oswego and Seattle Prep still fighting. And Vancouver Lake has just fallen back into, I believe, second position, now third. Lake Oswego in second place, gaining a half a bow deck over Vancouver Lake. But Vancouver Lake doesn't look done yet. Olympia still in the lead. Olympia just has open water over the boat from Lake Oswego. However, Vancouver Lake is starting to surge a little bit. I'm sure hearing the shores and their screams and cries of support is helping. Olympia still in just about a boat length lead over the rest of the field as they come up into the pylons here close to shore. Olympia still in first. Lake Oswego second. It looks like Vancouver Lake is still holding on to that bronze medal position. Starting the final sprint here. About 100 meters to go for these boats. And it looks like we are going to stay in that earlier position. Olympia sprinting for all they're worth through the lactic acid. Some really strong catches still from Olympia. And now as we peer into the dawn for this final shot, it looks as though that is going to be our lineup. This is unofficial, of course. I will be announcing the official times as we are getting them available. Wow, that was a great race. What a way to start off the day. Gadzooks and holy smokes, it's great to be here with y'all.
Okay.
Coming up next, we have the Women's Youth Single Sculls Final, which is 2 minutes and 52 seconds on the course.
What would you like?
Ladies and gentlemen on the shore, if you could just make way for boats, make sure that you are not standing in a loading zone for disembarking or launching boats. That would be so appreciated. Thank you to all of our spectators, all of our passerbys. Just be aware, keep your head on a swivel. We don't want to see any sculls impeded by riggers and such. And the women's youth single sculls final is mobbing on down the course. We will be seeing, I believe, drone footage of them shortly, so I'll be able to give you an idea of what is happening in that race, which is now 4.5 minutes in.
I'm still not getting her men's youth. I'm still not getting anything.
And I'm going to give you the update on the men's youth single sculls final times in just a second for the official mandated update.
And tracking a race coming up.
Yep. You're live.
All right, and we have a live feed of the women's single scull finals. It looks like there's a clear race leader from the middle of the pack. My first impressions. All right, and trying to interpret my data here for just a second. I think I see Oregon in the lead in the middle.
That'd be lane 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're looking at lane 4 has what I'm going to say is maybe 5 to 6 open boat lengths of water. Very impressive scull from lane 4, Oregon Unlimited. Wow. Just wow. And second place, I believe, is Renton, having a great scull as well, with about 3 open boat lengths of water over, I think that was Seattle Scullers in third place right now. 6 minutes and 20 seconds into this scull. Really, really smooth draw from our race leader from... Is that Oregon's? Yes, I think I am tracking Oregon's blades. Can see a really long stroke from this sculler. Just a lot of poise up at that catch. Taking such length really requires precision and balance with your blade work. And we had that in spades as we were tracking the Oregon sculler in lane 4 with a clear commanding lead right now over Renton in lane 5, who is definitely striking the water more quickly. We're seeing a higher strokes per minute, upwards around 34. That is a pretty rapid rate of striking, especially in these tailwind conditions, because you're getting a lot of speed from what is virtually, yeah, we're seeing like the tiniest bit across, but it's negligible. And we're just seeing a lot of great speed this weekend. Yesterday's time trials were whipping fast over that 1,900 meter course.
That's why it's like, I was looking at it, but it's like, I'm not hearing any clipping, I'm not hearing anything.
And as the Oregon sculler approaches the finishing pylons here. Final 50 meters for them. The crowd cries, "Oh, are you?" in their traditional cheer of support. And it looks to be a pretty consistent scull from Renton, still up at that high rate of striking. Monster strokes. And we have a finish for Oregon, unofficially in first. And if you're playing around for the times at home, all of your results can be found on herenow.com. Herenow.com will give you all of your race results. Nicely rowed to Oregon Unlimited, Lake Oswego, Pocock, Seattle Scullers, Renton, and Burton Beach. It looks like we have activity on our next race coming down the track. We are already 2 minutes and 45 seconds into the men's youth 8. 6 boats across. This is going to be our first big boat race of this weekend. If I could just give everybody a heads up on the shore. On the shore, just a heads up for the boats that are coming off the deck. Please listen to all the volunteers and officials who need to make room and have you make room. Thank you. We got boats coming in. We got boats going out.
Lane 3's in the lead right now.
And we have lane 3, Sammamish, in the lead. All right. Lane 1 is not on our screen right now. We've got Sammamish really ripping and wrecking their way through this field.
Okay. Just let it go. Hopefully it comes back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I see some bucket rigging going on in the Sammamish boat. 7 and 6 are bucketed. It's confirmed.
If it stays on like for like 5 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's gonna cut for a minute or 2, yeah.
However, the second place boat is starting to claw back. They just gained a seat. Really surging and sending.
Unless you're a coach or an athlete, you need to get out of the landing zone. So unless you're a coach or an athlete, you need to get out of the landing zone. When the 8s come in, they're going to take up all this space. Please get out of the landing zone if you're not a coach or an athlete. Izzy, right here.
And we've got a good race for bronze medal contention as well.
Okay. Fair enough. Then I will.
We are rocking and rolling with the men's youth 8 finals. The biggest of boats, the baddest of boats. And there's a lot of fight going on for 3rd and 4th position. Who is going to get that bronze medal is very much up in the air. I think I see Rose City up there at the top of your screen, just having taken about 4 seats. Up against all right, they're approaching the final pylons. Sammamish having a pretty good lead, about 4 solid seats, maybe 3, with their beautiful bucket rig going down this course. Heading up on the final meters now.
That one, yeah. I thought they were closer.
And based on here now, that was about a 6:0 something. We'll see when we get our final times, but that was a pretty quick race. And tough to call from where I'm standing. We look forward to giving you the final times on that last boats from that men's 8 youth final event crossing the line now. Up in the far lane, I think that was Everett, just cruising across the finish line.
I'm sorry. Grant's live. I was just telling him that whether he was on or off. I'm on yellow again, but...
All right, and we are coming up on a minute for the women's Youth 8 finals. Lane number 1, Mount Baker. In lane 2, Rose City. Lane 3, Green Lake. Lane 4, Holy Names. Lane 5, Sammamish. Lane 6, Inglemore. And those were the top 6 finishers from our time trials yesterday. And they're lined up according to how they finished yesterday, with the fastest boats tending to take the middle lanes, usually the most protected lanes, though not always. All right, and we are riding along with the women's Youth 8 finals. Lane 1, Mount Baker. Lane 2, Rose City. Lane 3, Green Lake. Lane 4, Holy Names. Lane 5, Sammamish. And Lane 6, Inglemore. Think we've got Green Lake and Holy Names in first and second contention. And heads up on the shore, we've got some big boats coming in. If you are not actively helping, please clear the beach area. Thank you. And we are riding along right now with the women's Youth 8 finals. Pretty clear open water lead. Looks like Green Lake has second. All right, approaching the final sprint, Holy Names with the lead over Green Lake in second. Looks like Sammamish has third. And that is unofficially going to be it, folks. You can see the packed shores of the beach of Vancouver Lake at the top of that shot. And as they come into the final strokes, that is our finish. Pretty quick conditions here. I'm reading about a 10-mile-an-hour gust potential with northwestern, pretty solid tailwinds. All right, and we have some times off of our first race. The men's youth single sculls final officially posted Olympia area for the win, 7:43. Lake Oswego with the 7:45 in second. And then Vancouver Lake taking bronze with the 7:48.6. In fourth place, Seattle Prep. Fifth place, Seattle Scullers and Renton, rounding out the pack for the men's youth single sculls final. The women's youth single scull final just went live as well. In first place, Oregon Unlimited. In second, Seattle Scullers. In third, Renton. In fourth, Pocock. In fifth, Burton Beach. In sixth, Lake Oswego. And from the men's youth 8 event, our final unofficial times. We've got Sammamish in first with the commanding 6:05. Mount Baker in second with a 6:07. And in bronze, Rose City with a 6:17 across that line. In fourth, Green Lake. In fifth, Bainbridge. And in sixth, Everett. We are awaiting times for the race that we just witnessed, the Women's Youth 8 event. Such exciting action. Side-by-side racing this morning on Vancouver Lake in lovely Washington State. Our next race coming up now is the Men's Youth Novice Double Scull timed final. In lane 1, Bainbridge. In lane 2, Lake Oswego. Lane 3, Pocock. Lane 4, South Eugene. Lane 5, Commencement Bay. And lane 6, Whatcom.
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are right now in the middle of the Men's Youth Double Scull Novice Final. And I think we're looking at some early race leaders. It looks fairly tied up between, I think that's Lake Oswego and South Eugene. Yeah.
Where's lane 6?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know where lane 6 is.
Well, there's not a buoy line to the south, so lane 1 has to be the bottom one. There's not an empty lane. Oh, yeah, so lane 2.
All right, and we've got our official times from the Women's Youth 8 Finals. Holy Names in first. Green Lake takes second. Sammamish in third. With Rose City in fourth. Mount Baker in fifth. And Inglemore in sixth place. Congratulations to all our contestants in the Women's Youth 8 Final event. Right now, we've got the Men's Youth Novice Double Scull Final.
Lane 2 is not on screen, everyone else is there.
One of 2 right now, timed finals for this event. I think that they're going to take the aggregate. Oh no, 1 of 3 Double Sculls Novice Men's Finals. So I think they're just going to take the fastest scores and award the medals based on who performs best out of all 3 of those. We did not have a Men's Youth Novice Double Scull time trial, so I think that this is a way to kind of blend those 2 formats. And it looks like the wind is maybe playing a little bit of havoc on our boats today. It does look that these double sculls are having a tough time kind of staying dead center in their lanes, which isn't easy at the best of times when you've got wind going on, but much less when it's your novice year. These athletes are still figuring out core components of the sport. You know, boat management is an art unto itself. Predicting where the bow is going to go based on what you're doing as a rower. And we're riding along now with who looks to be checking my blades here. Lane 4. Rocking and rolling with South Eugene. Having a great scull in this novice double scull class. And we can just see them starting to approach our visual frame of reference from the shore. Pretty good commanding lead, though.
I know, that's what Aspen said. She was like, well, they have such strong
I'm just gonna stay on the wide shot for a bit.
Yeah.
Not really much to do with this much spacing.
No. These are not time trials. These are just.
Oh, and it looks like we've got a little bit of a disorientation going on with who I think might have been Lake Oswego in lane 2. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of creative steering on the course. Not the easiest time to keep your boat in line with the buoys when you have a tailwind and when you kind of lose frame of reference on the boats that are on either side of you too. It can be a tough thing to keep yourself going on that straight path. You ideally want just the straightest line from the start to the finish in your lane, obviously. And you can get penalized for leaving your lane as well, especially if you make contact with another boat.
I can't wait. They're 8:42. Oh my god, yeah? I want to see it.
All right, and South Eugene taking a commanding lead in this timed final. So we won't know if they are actually in gold medal position until we get the times from all 3 of these timed finals that are about to come. Okay, and we are riding along with the second men's youth novice double scull race. And I've just been told that actually each of these timed finals, each three, are going to get their own set of medals. So they have been, they have each been assigned their own ranking and medal today for each of these three men's youth novice double sculls. In lane 1 for this one, we've got Rogue. In lane 2, Bainbridge. Lane 3, Rose City. Lane 4, Seattle Prep. Lane 5, Seattle Scullers. And lane 6, Seattle Prep 2.
Went back up. Not
Okay, and we are riding along with the men's youth novice double scull timed final number 2. We're about 5 minutes and 20 seconds in to this race as these boats approach about the 1,500 meter mark. We do have a clear race leader. I think from Seattle Prep. In second, I do believe that might be the Seattle Scullers. Their distinctive black boats and green blades, shining clearly.
lane 5.
Yeah, lane 5 Seattle Scullers in second, with Seattle Prep in lane 4, with the clear and commanding, I want to say 6 or 7 boat length lead. And it's a great day at Vancouver Lake. We've got some clouds off in the distance, but I don't think that they'll be a concern today. We've got a lovely tailwind pushing these boats along, giving us a lot of speed today on the course. However, it is making for slightly slippery catches that we're seeing with our boats today. And Seattle Prep in the lead of the second of our 3 men's youth novice double scull timed finals. They're coming into the final pylons here. Really pouring it on in this leading boat. Big props to our race leaders right now. They've stayed in their lane and relatively centered. Not the easiest thing to perform in these conditions, much less in your novice year. Really excellently executed race from these athletes from Seattle Prep today. And behind them in Seattle's Scullers boat, I think that they've taken a little bit, they've taken a little bit of distance back, but not enough to overcome the clear, pervasive lead that Seattle Prep has going right now. And I might have spoken too soon, folks, because Seattle Prep is kind of drifting towards one set of buoys right now, towards the shore, as the cheers of the crowd lead them on. They've centered themselves again. Great having this drone footage to call the races from. And they cross the finish line. Well done, Seattle Prep. And coming up in second, Seattle Scullers, making their way towards that finish line. Pretty definitive second from our green-bladed friends from Seattle Scullers. I hear their coach is a big fan of the band Pearl Jam. Has anybody, do you know Pearl Jam? Has anybody heard of that band? Big shout out to all the Pearl Jam fans in the Northwest. Coming up next, the third of our 3 men's youth novice double sculled time finals. In lane 1, Renton Rowing. Lane 2, Burton Beach. Lane 3, Lakeside. Lane 4, Rogue. Lane 5, Whatcom. And Lane 6, Eastside Prep. And we are 3 minutes into that race as our drone races back to get us live footage. And it looks like there was a scratch from that last final. Looks like we did have a scratch out of the second Seattle Prep School. So that was a field of 5 that just finished their race. The last boat sauntering towards the finish line now. And coming up after this current race, we are going to have 3 subsequent women's youth novice double scull timed finals. All right, and we've got unofficial times from the first of our youth men's novice double sculls. South Eugene took it in first. Pocock took second. In third, Whatcom. In fourth, Bainbridge. And in fifth, Commencement Bay, with Lake Oswego taking 6th in the men's youth novice double sculls timed final 1. We just finished that second one, or the second of those time finals, and the third one is ripping and roaring down the course about 4.5 minutes in. I think I see them having crossed that 1,000-meter mark. And early race leader looks to be Eastside Prep. I think Eastside Prep is kind of new to the rowing game, so it's exciting to see that their novices here in this double scull are standing out. Always fun when a new program shows some early signs of potential, especially in the Northwest where there's a lot of room to row. There's a lot of great bodies of water out here. The sport has really started to take hold in the past decade or so. We've seen an expansion of unprecedented measure, helped in no small part by the George Pocock Rowing Foundation, proud sponsor of the Northwest Regional Championship Regatta today. The George Pocock Foundation is committed to giving all kids a chance to join a team, particularly rowing teams, but they like them all. And we are so excited to have their support today as we ride along with the men's youth double scull final number 3.
When you get a chance, can I have you just announce for teams to come get their awards?
Absolutely.
That urgent?
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I'm on red.
Yeah, I'm just watching.
Oh.
Let's go, Peter! Let's go, Sport!
All right, we are in the final meters of the last of our men's novice double scull finals. 3-time finals, each of which has their own medals to contend for. And some strong sculling out of our leading team here today. Looks like Eastside just had a great scull. But let's wait for the official times to come out before we make any calls of any official nature. We've got the times from the prior race, the second of our men's youth novice double scull finals. Not the race we're watching right now, but I'm going to call those real quick as these last boats get up to the finish line. So from that prior race, in first place, we have Seattle Prep, followed by Seattle Scullers taking second, Rose City in third, Bainbridge in fourth, and Rogue in fifth, with that second Seattle Prep school boat having scratched. But that was from the prior race. Our results for this one that we're watching right now have still yet to come in. And oh my goodness, there's some epic layback going on in this boat that's about to cross the finish line. These guys are in it to win it. I just hope that they've been doing their supplemental core workouts, because that could potentially be dangerous for the low back. We like to protect our lumbar spine, because it's a lifetime sport, and injuries are no fun for anyone. Okie dokie. We've got the last boat just about to cross the finish line for the men's youth novice double scull finals. And if you are the proud winner of any hardware today, if you have a medal coming your way, come to the announcer's tent, also the medals and awards tent, also the drone tent. It's an omnibus tent going on here, but come visit it for your medals and your awards for races hard fought and hard won. And coming up on your screen, we have the start of the Women's Youth Novice Double Sculls. Timed final, number 1 of 3. In Lane 1, Eastside Prep. In Lane 2, Holy Names. Lane 3, Rogue. Lane 4, Olympia. Lane 5, Lakeside. And Lane 6, Bainbridge. And we are running just about on time. Official regatta time starting this race at 8:49. And right away in this race, we're seeing a little bit of a battle for first in the first few hundred meters here. I think I see Eastside Prep duking it out with Rogue right off the bat, with Eastside having taken an early lead in this race. And Olympia area in third right now over, I think, Bainbridge is in fourth with Lakeside pretty tied up for sixth with Holy Names. I think Lakeside just took that fifth place position. However, riding along with our first place contender, Eastside Prep, They are in danger of being overtaken by Rogue. Rogue is starting to pour on the heat, really making Eastside feel that pressure, making them commit to every stroke. But I think Eastside, yeah, they've got a good bow deck, and possibly even opening it up to 1 seat lead over Rogue. Meanwhile, Olympia has a clear and commanding third place position. However, this is a long race. A lot could happen. However, it's pretty exciting to see that the first and second place contenders are pretty well locked. Every time that we see Eastside kind of feel, I think, comfortable in their lead, Rogue reminds them that they're still there. And Rogue's actually pulling up to a pretty even lead, or a pretty even stance against Eastside right now. And I think Rogue just took the lead. Yeah, Rogue's got a bow ball over Eastside. And remember, these scullers are in their novice years, so, you know, we're seeing a lot of, like, raw, bloodthirsty, natural talent right now. Getting those competitive vibes on. Eastside Prep just took it back. Yeah, Eastside now has a bow deck. They lost that bow ball, and they said, no, no, no. So they're coming right back on it. Eastside Prep now has a seat open on Rogue. They, I think, just waited. They bided their time. They took their move. Maybe they're committing to their race plan. But Rogue is still hanging on, and now Rogue's starting to get fidgety again. Maybe having taken a seat. Yeah, I think Rogue just ate up that seat lead. This is awesome stuff, folks. We love to see side-by-side racing. It's one of the purest joys of this sport that requires so much commitment and training to so little competition time. Eastside Prep now, however, just clawed back their way to a lead, so it's a ding-dong little battle. Eastside Prep and Rogue going blow for blow. But I don't know if Rogue might be fading. It looks like Eastside either found another gear or Rogue lost one. But Eastside Prep is now starting to take open water over Rogue. And further back in the race, we see that Olympia still has that third position with Lakeside in fifth. Or no, Lakeside in fourth, yeah. Good times at the 2023 Youth Northwest Regional Regatta, brought to you by USRowing. Greetings and salutations, one and all. If you're on the shore or on the internet, we're so glad that you're here with us today as we ride along with the the first of our women's youth novice double sculled timed finals, one of 3, coming your way, live from Vancouver Lake, Washington. All right, and checking back in with our race leaders. And if anybody finds anything that is lost on the beach, such as a phone, if you could bring that over to the volunteer tent. If you don't know where that is, come find the announcer's tent. I can point it to you. If you find lost stuff, please be sure to return it. And if you see any trash on the beach, please be sure to pick it up. And if you see a coach that is stressed, please tell them that you value them and think they're great. All right, and we are still having a blast of a time with this Eastside Prep and Rogue battle. Eastside Prep is still in contact with Rogue. Eastside just maintaining that lead over Rogue by a slight margin. Looks like they've got about a stern deck over them. But Rogue has not gone quietly. It looked like they stuttered out for a little bit there, But now as they approach the pylons close to shore here, their race is going to be concluding. And so relief is in sight. Oh, it looks like Eastside is just brushing up against the buoys. They just had a little shudder in their boat as I believe their starboard oars brushed those buoys. They're now having to correct to get back in that center lane lest they ricochet. And it looks like they just made contact with another set of buoys with their port oars. Oh, goodness. They're having a little bit of trouble staying in their lane. The tailwind does pick up further down the course, so they're having to correct for a lot of wind today that is giving them extra speed, yes, but it's also harder to steer, especially in your novice year. All right, and Eastside still in a commanding lead over Rogue in second as we come up upon the end of this hard-fought race.
I'm staying with you. I'm staying with you. All right, fading away to actual finish. You're clear. There it is.
Alrighty, folks, let's catch you up on some times. The prior race that finished before this, the men's youth novice double scull final, the third of those three. We have official times that Burton Beach took gold in that race, followed by Eastside Prep, and then Whatcom, and Renton after that, and Lakeside in fifth. So again, that was in first, Burton Beach, in second, Eastside, third, Whatcom, fourth, Renton, and fifth, Lakeside. And we are just now witnessing the end of the first of three women's youth novice double sculls timed finals.
Stream is down, but Verizon is green.
Yeah.
And please be reminded, if you won your race, you can go ahead and come to the announcer's tent, maybe say hi, but above all, pick up your hardware. Come get your medals. We want to give you the shiny stuff so much. It brings us great joy. Thank you for being here, either online or in person, to hang out and bear witness to the Northwest Regional Youth Championship Regatta. If you have loved ones that want to tune in, we are live on YouTube with drone footage and beautiful shots of Vancouver Lake, and maybe even my obnoxious voice tearing up your earbuds. Or if you want to go back to your car and have a listen and tune in outside the rays of the sunshine. Quick reminder, it is sunny out there. I hope you brought your sunscreen. I hope you're wearing your sunscreen. And I hope you're hydrating. All right, and we are about to ride along with our lovely drone with the second of our Women's Youth Novice Double Sculls finals. And we are still awaiting times from that prior Women's Youth Novice Double Skull final. All right, and we've got official times for the prior race. Eastside Prep did win it. Oh my goodness, just 1 second separated them and Rogue. That was such a great battle between those two boats. And Eastside Prep, mad props to them. That's a new team, new on the scene, and making waves in the first of those Women's Youth Novice Double Skull timed finals. So congratulations to Eastside Prep taking first in that last race with a 9:07. Followed by Rogue in second with the 9:08. And Olympia took third with a 9:34, just over Lakeside's 9:36. Holy Names with a 9:50, and Bainbridge bringing up the back of that pack. Congratulations to all of our racers. And we are headed now into the second of our Women's Youth Novice Double Skull time finals. Lane 1 is non-existent for this race. We've got a ghost in Lane 1. Lane 2, however, has ethereal and very much physical human beings, brought to you by South Eugene. In Lane 3, Seattle Prep. Lane 4, Whatcom. Lane 5, Pocock. And Lane 6, Olympia area. And right now, it looks like we are riding with our first place leader. All right. I think that is Seattle Prep in the lead right now, pouring on tons of speed. A lot of connection for this novice boat. Good for them as they enter the final pylons, getting through what might well be the first regional championship regatta of their rowing careers. So it's exciting stuff to hear the cry of the crowds on beautiful Lake Vancouver, the lovely shores, the industrial pylons. It's great stuff. All right, folks, we are rocking and rolling with the Women's Youth Novice Double Sculls third timed final. Lane 1, Pocock. Lane 2, Renton. Lane 3, Rose City. Lane 4, Burton Beach. Lane 5, Commencement Bay. And Lane 6, South Eugene. We are still awaiting times for the... Oh, no, they just came live, folks. You heard it here first. The unofficial second timed final results. Seattle Prep did indeed take that with a commanding 907 over South Eugene in second with 930, and Olympia got third with a 949. Pocock took fourth, and Whatcom took fifth over the Ghost that was occupying lane 1. All right, and right now we are looking at the third of our timed finals for the Women's Youth Novice Double Sculls. It looks like we are almost on time today. Big props to all of our officials and volunteers making this regatta run so seamlessly. So many moving parts, to say nothing of the wind that is moving us quite swiftly down this course today. We've got a great, beautiful tailwind, some partly sunny conditions. If you're tuning in from YouTube land, welcome. We are so overjoyed to bring you this drone footage. The USRowing team here has been hard at work. Big shout out to our sponsors on the shore, JL, Felipe, the George Pocock Rowing Foundation. We've got Row for the Cure here. We are so excited to be bringing you live action from the waters of Lake Vancouver Lake. And right now it looks like we are about halfway through, maybe a little bit more, just past our 1K mark for the Women's Youth Novice Double Scull timed final. Again, in lane 1, Pocock. Lane 2, Renton. Lane 3, Rose City. Lane 4, Burton Beach. Lane 5, Commencement Bay. And lane 6, South Eugene. With the commanding lead right now out of our red-bladed friends from Burton Beach. Burton Beach, a fairly new operation from Vashon Island. There was a slight schism there because we do have a team from Vashon from before that, the Baby Blue folks that we know and love. Burton Beach, fairly new though. It's great to see more multiplying rowing bodies coming into the Northwest here as our tailwind sends these novice double sculls onward. Coming up after this event, we are very fortunate to bring you some of the most technically proficient athletes in the sweep class with our men's and women's youth 2V pair events. The pair, in my estimation, is the hardest boat to row in rowing, especially the hardest team boat, as it requires just such grace, precision, but also awareness of all that your partner is doing in conjunction with your body. So we'll be getting into that next, but right now we are riding along with the Women's Youth Novice Double Scull, and it looks like Burton Beach still has that pretty commanding lead over to the left of your screen, or the right of your visual frame of reference if you're standing here on the lake. And if you are standing here on the lake, just make sure that if you're on the beach, just stay aware of any boats that are coming your way. They might be coming by land, they might be coming by sea. Either way, we don't want to have a travesty. So mind your skulls and your brains. Thank you. All right, Burton Beach holding on to their lead. Despite some of these boats having come back, we are seeing a really strong set of finishes from this Burton Beach crew as they cross the finish line. Well done to our Vashon Island friends from Burton Beach. And just wrapping up their scull, I think that was either Renton or Pocock. Looks like Renton just crossed the finish line. And so many cheers from the crowd, so much support for these novice scullers getting to compete in what is probably their first ever side-by-side final at a regional championship regatta. Congratulations to all of those athletes. Such a joyous moment. Oh, and we've still got one on the water. Big shout outs and cheers to, I think that might be a Pocock boat. All right, ladies and sirs, we are rocking and rolling with the 2V pairs, the men's 2V pairs coming at us live. They're about 6 minutes and 40 seconds into their race. In lane 2, Mount Baker. Lane 3, Seattle Prep. Lane 4, Lakeside. Lane 5, Rose City.
Fly cautiously.
And these waters are not the easiest to navigate in the pair. We're seeing a slight increase in the crosswind condition, making it just a little bit tough, especially as the winds increase towards the finish line. You're exhausted, you're fatigued, and so getting these boats to go straight is something of a challenge. And we are seeing a fun and lively battle for first here, but it looks like our friends from, pretty sure that was Lakeside, took it in first. Congratulations to them. We'll wait for the official times to make that call. But that was a fun pairs race. Coming up next is the women's 2V pairs. In lane 2 of that race, Olympia. Lane 3, Sammamish. Lane 4, Holy Names. And Lane 5, Rose City.
Do not know my time zone. Yes. That's why I got.
And we have times from the final, or the third time final from the women's youth novice double scull. Burton Beach did indeed win that one, with Renton in second, South Eugene in third, Rose City in fourth, Commencement Bay in fifth, and Pocock rounding out the end of that field. And the men's youth pairs are coming in to the shore. So please, everybody, just make room for the doubles and the pairs that are going to be coming into the shore here. Watch your heads for any oars or riggers or carbon fiber that might be heading your way. And the next race that is coming down the water is the women's youth 2V pairs. We've got our times, unofficial times from the men's youth 2V pairs, with Rose City having won that one, followed by Seattle Prep and Lakeside in third and Mount Baker in fourth. Congratulations, Rose City, on your 2V pair final win. And we are 5 minutes into the women's youth 2V pair final. In lane 2, Olympia, lane 3, Sammamish, lane 4, Holy Names, and lane 5, Rose City. So interestingly, and of note, this is a new event. The 2V pairs has never been rowed at this race before. So it's pretty exciting that we're having an expansion of events and entries to be able to accommodate not just a youth pair, but also a 2V pair event. So we're seeing more depth from programs. You know, the fact that we had 4 and 3V8s yesterday on the water for some of our time trials. We're seeing such an expansion of our sport. It's an unprecedented time for rowing, and we are so glad that you are here to experience the joy of just ripping your body into oblivion via water, oars, physics. It's all here, and we love it. All right, and we're approaching the 6-minute 50-second mark for the women's youth 2V pair finals. And it looks like we've got a pretty commanding lead out in front. I think I see Holy Names. Holy Names in lane 4 is doing the work. My goodness, they look very smooth. They're both connecting with the water with really great rhythm. And just some exemplary pairs rowing here from this Holy Names crew. Coming up against that port side buoy, however. And we're seeing a pretty consistent theme that as crews get to a certain point after the 500-meter mark, the winds do become a little bit more aggressive. So right around 500 meters, we're having to see a lot of readjustments within lanes. It seems like the wind does have a little bit more of a cross effect when we approach that side of the course. Holy Names with just a striking lead over their counterparts today. The other racers here are Sammamish, Olympia, and Rose City, but Holy Names is having it all their own way as they approach the final 100 meters of this track today. Well done to the rowers. A lot of technical proficiency in this Holy Names boat. Hats off to their coaches. I see a lot of drilling went into this winter season. And coming up next after this race, we have the men's youth 3V quad finals, which might just be a one-boat race, the first of our weekend. This just in, I have received confirmation that there is a conch being blown on the shore. It's the new vuvuzela, or vuvuzela, depending on where you're from. Rowing, of course, needs to stick to its nautical theme, so we're real glad that somebody brought a conch to cheer on their rowers of choice as we get our final boat crossing the line of this women's 2v pair event. Such good times here at Vancouver Lake. Thank you for joining us either online or in person. If you are in person, I would just love to encourage you to maybe hydrate. Just keep hydrating. Don't stop hydrating. Hydrate all life long. And also maybe find some sunscreen. Or a hat. Or both. That's where it's at.
Love rowing, man.
Honestly,
This-
that.
All right.
Just don't get
And we're
too close that you distract them.
riding along with the Men's Youth 3v Quad, a one-boat race brought to you by Pocock Youth Rowing. And they are actually rowing a boat that I've rowed before. That is the Mike Smith. That is a Hudson that is known and loved at the Pocock Boathouse. So it's great to see this 3v Quad just kicking it into gear. You know, for a 3v, I've actually coached a couple of these athletes, and they are showing just a lot of grit and determination as they rock their way up this course. This is almost like a time trial. They're really racing themselves and perhaps the best that they've ever done. A lot of heart and determination when it's just you out there, but you're with your team, and they're having a great row. Clicking, connected, getting those oars in together. Stroke seat's having a look. Yep, your oar is still there, bud. And big shout out to our drone pilot, Grant, here on the ground today, bringing us these shots. Just an expert pilot, and we are so grateful to have him and the USRowing crew bringing you all of these images. You know, wherever you're tuned in from around the world, just thank you for being here with us. We are riding along with the Men's Youth 3v Quad Finals. Our race leader, Pocock, our solo boat on the field. So they are the leader in clear margin.
You can go back and forth without having to.
And we've got our results from the prior race, the women's 2v pair. Holy Names took that in an 8:30. Congratulations, Holy Names. Sammamish took second. Rose City in third. And Olympia took fourth. And Pocock is 7 minutes into their race right now as they approach the finish line. It's a pretty quick scull. Over 2K. Congratulations to this crew from Pocock for pulling together a great race.
One of the Horizon boxes should work just fine on that.
And I'm showing them having completed this race unofficially right about 7:26. Not a bad scull by any means for a 3v quad. Congratulations to the boys from Pocock. Well done, lads. Well done.
That was a pretty good string shot. I think that was the best I've done on that one.
That was awesome.
You're still left, by the way.
I need to bring like hand warmers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming at you from Vancouver Lake. Our next race, a 3-boat field. It is the women's 3V quad. Just started with Lane 3, Oregon Unlimited, Lane 4, Pocock B, and Lane 5, Oregon Unlimited B. All right, and our drone is racing up to the start to make contact with these crews. It was a pretty exciting race. 3 boats side by side. Looks like we do have a race leader out in the middle from Pocock B, with Oregon locked in with the Oregon B boat. They look pretty even from where I'm sitting. Pocock just has open water, and it looks like the Oregon A boat has about a bow deck over Oregon B now. But still, plenty could happen in this race. And yeah, for a 3V quad entry, no coxswain, so the responsibility is all on the bow seat to make these calls, make the steering happen. But it's a lighter boat without that coxswain, so you're going to have more speed. But these boats are all looking very technically poised in the first and second position that we can see clearly to the left of our screen. And there is just the slightest bit of contact with that bow ball that the Oregon boat has over Pocock. And in that prior race, congratulations to the Pocock 3V men's quad on a 7:28, hard fought. We have that official time that just came in. Well done, boys. And right now we are riding along 2 minutes into the women's youth 3V quad final, with Pocock still maintaining that lead in the middle. They look to have about a seat's worth of open water on Oregon Unlimited there in lane 3. And we get a nice zoom-in shot on what is just a really great, smooth, well-connected row. All 4 of those rowers doing a great job of staying in synchronicity. Some real great cadence and rhythm being set up there in the stroke seat. And everybody else is following along to what looks to be some great length, great blade work. And as we ride along with the Oregon boat, we're seeing similar. Just really smooth, liquid, dynamic strokes. And we saw a lot of that too with the Pocock boat in the prior race in the men's youth 3V quad. Just a great time here in this 3-boat final. The Oregon B boat has fallen about a boat length back off of the A boat counterparts, and Pocock now has about a boat and a half length lead over Oregon A. All right, tuning back in with the Women's Youth 3V Quad Finals. We're seeing Pocock with just a really commanding lead here. Having a super smooth scull. They are about coming up on the 5-minute mark of their race, and we can just see them starting to approach the 500-meter buoys.
Yeah, 750.
They're at about 750 meters right now.
I have distance on here. I can tell you how far. FYI.
And we are just benefited mightily by this drone technology. It's really brought a new element to our sport. And I cannot overstate how exciting it is to be able to witness these races in real time, to be able to ride along with crews, something that only coaches usually get to do from their bikes at only certain courses across the world. So this is just a real exciting time to be involved in rowing and be alive, I guess. Drones are just so cool, especially the drones that look like birds. Or maybe all drones are birds, or maybe all birds are drones. All right, and Pocock has just opened up that lead even more. Looks like 5 or 6 open boat lengths of water between them and Oregon. The Oregon B boat is about 3 to 4 lengths of open water behind their Oregon counterparts in second. But this is a pretty clear-cut first, second, third situation. Coming up next, after this race, the men's U17 single scull finals. That was a very exciting time trial, and we've got a lot of talent in that race, a lot of young talent, including the younger brother of Northwest superstar Isaiah Harrison. That is Elijah Harrison, coming to his first regional regatta championship. So we're so excited to have him here from Idaho. He had a great time trial yesterday, as did Kai Page of South Eugene. So we are going to see that race starting here momentarily. But right now, we've got the final meters of the Women's Youth 3V Quad Scull Finals. And as this Pocock boat in our shot starts to rev up for their final sprint, it is worth noting that all of these athletes, I believe, are going to be competing later in the weekend and have already competed. One of the benefits to the time trial format on the first day is that it opens up a lot more racing opportunities for these athletes. But boy, does it really just take its toll on the legs. There's a lot to be said for active recovery, making sure that you are getting your caloric load, hydrating, getting all your electrolytes, stretching out. There's a lot of maintenance that goes behind the scenes for each of these athletes here today, and just to see such a finely rowed performance right now, on top of all the other competitions that these athletes are having to go through in however many boat classes. We see a lot of athletes that both sweep and scull, which take different kinds of maintenance for the body, and yet they're pulling it off so well. And they just crossed the line. We've got Oregon Unlimited being cheered on by the fans with their traditional ORU call. So exciting to see. Love the fan support, both online and in person. Thank you to everybody that is cheering these boats on, no matter where you are. We love to see it. Oregon about to cross that finish line in your shot, rowing so smoothly and well. You can tell that they were really nicely synced up. That takes a lot of time and commitment, a lot of drills, a lot of coaching, sometimes video review. But eventually you get it, and it just feels so good. And the second Oregon boat about to cross the finish line here. Congratulations to them. And that concludes the Women's Youth 3V Quad Scull Finals. Unofficial result, Pocock in lane 4 with that win, with Oregon in lane 1 for the silver and Oregon B taking bronze. Coming up next, we are 2.5 minutes in to the men's U17 single scull finals. And again, a lot of potential in this category. A lot of scullers coming from the Northwest. We were reminded recently of a Vashon rower that came from these very waters here in the Northwest that is now on the national team, having come through Northeastern University, Jacob Plehall. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that last name correctly, but he came from Vashon, and you have to wonder who in this race that we're about to see could potentially be headed to national team or Olympic fame in our sport right now. So this is the U17 single scull finals. Lane 1, Pocock. Lane 2, Whatcom. Lane 3, Coeur d'Alene. Lane 4, South Eugene. Lane 5, Burton Beach. Lane 6, Seattle Scullers. Hot diggity. They are 3.5 minutes into that race. I can see the flash of the blades down on the course. And we are coming up on what looks to be the midway point here of that race. We'll get you some live action just as soon as we have it. So I just got some fun information from our drone pilot, Grant. His drone can go 45 miles an hour, and so we're cycling it out with battery changes on the fly, as well as racing back up to the finish, or to the start, which obviously drains the battery a little bit faster getting back from the finish. But it's such cool technology to learn about. And as we start to get our first images of the men's U17 single scull finals, it looks like there is a race for first, folks. There's some blood in the water here, I think, between Coeur d'Alene and South Eugene, if I'm not mistaken.
3 and 4.
Yeah, lanes 3 and 4, Coeur d'Alene and South Eugene. That Coeur d'Alene boat, Elijah Harrison, is the younger brother of up-and-coming single scull superstar Isaiah Harrison, who just competed at the speed order earlier this year, and did pretty well, given that he's going up against the big dogs now after his very successful U23 campaign last year. And we see these boats are locked in a dead heat right now, Coeur d'Alene and South Eugene. We're coming up on the 500-meter mark, and it looks as though South Eugene might just be starting to eke it out. I think Coeur d'Alene is kind of coming up against that portside buoy line, and you can see he takes a look over his right shoulder. Little bit worried about that buoy line. I would be too. It's tough. We have seen that 500-meter mark really starting to cast some boats into questionable steering. I think that it takes a little bit more experience to be able to compensate for that on the fly. We do have a nice tailwind condition that does seem to be picking up a little bit as the clouds get a little bit more dense above us here at Vancouver Lake. The temperature has dropped slightly now that we don't have that direct sun exposure as well. All right, and it looks like Coeur d'Alene has just started to pull ahead here. He's got about a seat, maybe just a bow deck. I don't think South Eugene is going to stop fighting, though. However, it does look like those strokes are coming harder and harder. He might have overextended himself. Lane 4 in South Eugene might be fading, as the Coeur d'Alene boat in that distinctive Hudson uni starts to take meters and open up. Oh, but South Eugene, hearing the cries of the crowd, is saying, I've got something left to say. And it looks like South Eugene just pulled ahead. Holy cow, folks. We had questions. South Eugene had answers. That is phenomenal. He just picked it up through his sprint. However, Coeur d'Alene is not out of the picture just yet. These boats are revving it up. Look at these strokes per minute just skyrocketing as Coeur d'Alene tries to catch up with South Eugene, but South Eugene might have it. I think I see a solid bow deck as these boats approach the finish line. South Eugene opens up that lead, and we've got open water for South Eugene. There was a slight gap. Congratulations to Coeur d'Alene as well for that second place finish. In third I think that I see Burton Beach in lane 5, pulling it across. I could be mistaken. I think that might have been Watcom for third. We'll wait for the official times. It's a little bit tough staring into the sun right now. I apologize for any missed calls that I make. However, we will be confirming all of our times with herenow.com. If you're playing around online and you have access to your browser, go ahead and check herenow.com for all of our race results and schedules throughout the weekend. All right, and we do have official times from that prior race, the Women's Youth 3V Quad Finals. That was Pocock in first, Oregon Unlimited with second, and in lane 3, Oregon Unlimited B. Congratulations. All right, folks, and welcome to the men's U17, or the women's U17 single sculls. We just got done with the men's, and we are awaiting those times. It looks like unofficially South Eugene did win that last one with a 750 over Coeur d'Alene, taking second with a 753. And the bronze in that did indeed go to Burton Beach. Third place for Burton Beach in that prior race, the men's U17 single scull finals. Right now, we are riding along with the women's U17 single scull finals. In lane 1, Lake Oswego. Lane 2, Vashon. Lane 3, Rogue. Lane 4, Oregon. Lane 5, Seattle Scullers. Lane 6, Burton Beach. And right now it looks like we do have a definitive lead coming our way from lane 4. That is Oregon Unlimited, whom I think won the time trial yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So a great skull out of that athlete from Oregon Unlimited today. It looks like we also have some speed coming out of Rogue in the lane right over there in 3. Looks like lane 3 is in second place with, I believe, the Seattle Sculler boat. Yep, distinctive green blades, black boat in lane 5. Seattle Scullers is in bronze medal contention right now. We're about 5 minutes, 10 seconds into this race. There is still some chopping and changing that could occur. I think I see the Burton Beach Sculler drawing up a little bit closer to Seattle Scullers in lane 5. So we might see something happen, but it does look like there is a lot of distance between these boats, so might not be too much action coming down the course your way. The next race, however, the men's U17 8s, that should be a barn burner. We are real excited to bring you that race, as all the races. And it does look as though Rogue is maybe getting a little bit of distance on Oregon. However, Oregon has quite a lead right now in this race. The women's U17 single scull finals. And it's interesting formatting that we're seeing here this weekend. Sometimes we have age restrictions on boats, such as this U17 race. We had a lot of U15 races yesterday for the younger athletes, particularly like coxed quads. But sometimes we have 2V and 3V races, which are dictated kind of by the depth of your team and not necessarily the ages of the athletes. So just something to consider here as we look at these races coming down. Sometimes they are stratified by age. Other times it's just how big is your team and can you field a 1V, 2V, 3V, 4V. as opposed to, looking at the ages that we see. So as these boats approach the final 500 meters, yeah, it does look like Oregon is going to be taking the gold here, barring any calamity. Single sculls, we always have the potential for capsizing. Smaller boats too, but definitely in the single sculls. And bearing in mind that 500 meter mark does come with a bit of that crosswind element increasing, making it harder to steer and possibly harder to keep the boat level. All right, and Oregon Unlimited coming into the finish here. Congratulations to that hard-fought scull. We've got Rogue rounding out that field with second. And it looks like Seattle Scullers coming into third there.
Sonic. Yeah, half filters. There's a white balance. You think somebody.
All right, and we are active and coming up on the 2.5 minute mark for the men's U17 8 finals. All right, we've got the big boats coming down the course. Men's U17 8s. I think we've got early race leaders in Sammamish, possibly with Everett in second. Yeah, looks like we've got Everett in second. And right next to them, I think that's Oregon Unlimited in that black boat far up there. So right now we've got Sammamish in the lead, Everett in second, Oregon in third. And taking a look at the technique of rowing an 8, it's really all about just building that momentum and then maintaining it. These things are like freight trains. They're so heavy that a lot is carried over. It's like you want to just spin a bike wheel to keep that momentum going. You don't want to be disruptive to the boat. And good 8s rowing is really just all about staying connected and doing the same thing all together so that there are as little disruptions to that momentum as you can. It looks like Everett has about a bow deck overlap right now with Sammamish. Eking into that lead a little bit, though. Everett is definitely trying to claw their way back against this pretty dominant Sammamish boat. It looks like the 1, 2, 3 spots are pretty assured, though. There is a race for fourth happening. back behind them, hanging out with the officials' boats. And I think that we're seeing Bainbridge, also a newer organization, just taking fourth over, I think, what is Lake Oswego there. And our race leaders still seem to be locked into that position. Sammamish has just shut the door on Everett's advance. Everett can't seem to get any more water on the Sammamish boat, and it looks like Everett's just starting to row a little bit shorter, whereas you might notice that the Sammamish boat is staying nice and long. Their strokes are staying relatively clean, and they're really not sacrificing very much tech, whereas I think the Everett boat might have gotten a little bit scrambly. It's tough to maintain that confidence and composure when you're not the race leader. You can kind of hear the boat behind you sometimes, and there we see open water between Sammamish and Everett, and Everett just trying with all their might. But it requires collective effort and synchronization to really make speed happen. And they are comfortably in second, however, behind Oregon. And as these boats approach the finish line, the cries of the crowd cheer them on, leading them to glory. And we see this great shot parallel to the shore. The final sprint of Sammamish, they're really bringing up that stroke rate. A little bit of disconnect, I think, from the port and starboard side rowers now as we get into the final sprint of this race. They're pouring on the speed, but it's definitely causing, I think, some ripples in the boat, bringing that rate up. However, they have maintained their lead over the Everett boat, who is nipping at their heels this whole race. And you see the Everett boat just crossing the finish line there behind Sammamish, with the Oregon boat right behind them in third. Congratulations to these boats here. That was a pretty darn fast U17 8 scull final. And we've got unofficial times on that. Sammamish with a rapid 6:27 to take first. Everett with a 6:32 took second. And Oregon Unlimited with a 6:38 takes third. Congratulations to Sammamish, Everett, and Oregon Unlimited. Quick reminder, if you are a lucky medalist today, please be sure to come pick up your hardware, come pick up your medals, or maybe send your coach to do it for you. Come on over to the medals table and pick up your shiny stuff. All right, and our next race coming up, the women's U17 8 finals on the way. We are, wow, a minute into that race. We are early on our start times, folks. That is so exciting. I think that race started just a minute early, or maybe right on time. Official regatta time on that race, Pacific time, 9:59. And we are a minute and 30 seconds into the women's U17 8 finals. Lane 2, Lakeside. Lane 3, Holy Names. Lane 4, Mount Baker. Lane 5, Green Lake. And Lane 6, Everett. It is a 5-boat U17 8 final. And our drone is soaring over to, I think, about the 500-meter mark. Yeah, our boats are just at the 500-meter mark. Let's see who's doing what here. All right, it looks like we've got an early race leader, but not by much. From the middle of the pack, I think we've got Green Lake in the lead. Nope, hold that. Sorry, I think I got my lanes mixed up. It's a pretty tight cluster. There is contact across all of these boats at the top of the field. So I think Lakeside is the only boat that's out of contention right now. All the other boats are close in contact. It looks as though Mount Baker is in the lead right now with a pretty clear tie between Holy Names and Green Lake for second. Mount Baker is in fourth right now.
Find it. Yeah, USRowing in YouTube. Yeah.
Just print out a QR code tonight or something. Stick it. There's a printer in the lobby.
Okay, I think Holy Names has taken a slight lead for that second place position. Yeah, we do see Holy Names with Mount Baker still in the lead. I don't think that lead's going to go away easily, and maybe not at all. Mount Baker having a great row today with Holy Names in second, and it looks like Green Lake has fallen back into fourth with Everett trying to struggle back on Holy Names. I think Everett might actually be coming close to building the momentum needed to take out Holy Names for that second place position, but we'll see. Mount Baker having just a great row. A lot of connection on the drive. You can see their catches are very well synchronized. A lot of length there. These drone close-ups allow us such perspective on the technical aspect of each of these rows. Holy Names just holding on, I think, to the lead over Everett, with Green Lake fighting along, still in contact with Everett on the far side of your screen there. All right, Holy Names is in second now. Holy Names has maintained a dominant second position. They have about a deck length lead over the Everett boat. But Everett might not be done. Everett might come back for that silver position. We see those Everett rowers looking over at Holy Names, hungry to get back. We'll see what they have in the tank. Mount Baker now, I think, has a little bit of an open lead. Looks like Mount Baker does have a slight open water lead. Looks like they just have a bow deck open water over the other boats in this race. And as they start to approach the final pylons, you can see there's a lot of excitement in the crowd about this race. A lot of families down from Seattle. This is kind of like a Seattle finish here. All of these boats are from the Seattle area. Although interestingly, I don't think any of them would actually cross paths on the water. They all row on kind of different ends of the Seattle spectrum here. Everett, of course, rowing up on the slough up in Everett. Green Lake has their own body of water, Green Lake unto itself. Mount Baker rows on Lake Washington, kind of towards the south end of Lake Washington, whereas Holy Names launches out of College Club in Lake Union. They're connected, but different. And Lakeside, I want to say, is up closer to the north by Kenmore. So all of these boats know of each other, but maybe not having tested their speed against one another. And we see Mount Baker is still in that lead, but Everett might be taking that second place position from Holy Names. I didn't think it was going to happen, but here we have a race, folks. It's a dogfight for that silver, and I think Everett is going to take it. We'll see what happens in the final strokes of this race. Oh, it's too close to call. Holy Names starts catching up, but maybe Everett. Oh, gosh. Wow. That was a very close finish, folks. I think that was the closest finish that we've had yet today for that silver medal position. Unofficially, Mount Baker with the win at a 7:21. Congratulations, Mount Baker. Some really fast speed. And Everett did end up taking silver unofficially with a 7:27.24. Let's see what Holy Names got and how far back they were, because they crossed that finish line pretty darn close together. Oh my goodness, they were 0.31 seconds off each other. Holy smokes. Or sorry, 0.1 seconds off of each other. But yeah, they got 7:27.31 behind Everett 7:27.24. That was such a close race. Wow. We really love seeing that kind of thing. Green Lake held strong to get a 7:32. I thought that they were going to take Holy Names for a second there, but that's a lot to do over 2,000 meters. But you know that all of these athletes are exhausted. I see some heads hanging over bodies down at the down past the finish line. There's a lot of exhausted limbs just kind of limping over the gunnels of the boat. It's so fun to feel and so great to see. Coming up next here, we have more clusters of time finals. We're going to have a cluster of men's youth coxed 4 time finals. We're going to have 2 of those. And then after that, we've got the men's youth and women's youth 2V single scull finals after a quick break. So we've got 2 more races right now, and then we're going to take lunch for about an hour and a half or so.
No, that's the mixed sheets.
Oh, we are operating off of mixed sheets. I was getting so excited for lunchtime. All right, we've got another few races to go here before we get lunch. We're going to break for lunch after our 11:09 race. So we have about 7 more races for you this morning. Real excited to tee those up now. And we are riding along with the men's youth coxed 4 novices. This is such an exciting boat class because it's a big load to have to carry a coxswain down a race course, but as a novice to not have to worry about about steering or making calls, it's a big advantage to just focusing on your blade work, focusing on how you're pulling through the water. And we do see that we've got a pretty tight race here. 2 minutes in to our men's youth novice coxed 4s. Closest to us on the screen, Sammamish in lane 1. Lane 2, Rose City. Lane 3, Green Lake. Lane 4, Green Lake B. Lane 5, Commencement. And lane 6, Bainbridge. And it looks like Sammamish, closest to us on the screen, is in the lead. Oh, but not for long, because I think that Green Lake is just overtaking them. All right, we've got Sammamish in second, Green Lake in first. And then in third, we've got a race for third, folks, between Rose City and the second Green Lake boat, I believe. And then over on the upper edge of your screen, Commencement Bay and Bainbridge are locked into a race for fifth and sixth positions. This is some exciting racing that we're seeing. First and second is still very close between Sammamish and that Green Lake boat. Again, with Rose City and the second Green Lake boat duking it out for bronze. All right, exciting developments to report. Sammamish has taken the lead over their Green Lake competitors. And it looks like they've got almost a bow deck up on Green Lake as we approach 4 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock. Getting a really good feel for how these racers are connecting with each other, especially in the foreground of our shot with Sammamish, having taken the lead. You see the water is presenting a little bit of difficulty. The tailwind does create just enough ripple, and especially getting your water in the catch can be so tricky with those tailwind kind of crests that are created coming into your boat. That is giving you that speed, but also just making it a little bit tougher to manage with your blade work when you get yourself into the water. And so it really requires a little bit of experience to be able to manage. And these boatmen are doing a great job of it, though, especially for this being their novice year. We see the Green Lake boat up in the third lane is actually coming under fire from their teammates in lane 4. We've got a Green Lake side-by-side match. The lane 4 Green Lake boat is starting to catch up on the lane 3 Green Lake boat. And it looks as though we've got Sammamish for first and Green Lake for second and third, with that third place Green Lake boat just coming back every stroke. It looks like they've definitely picked up their stroke rate, and they are not going to go quietly against their boathouse rivals. There's a lot of team-based competition going on right here. I'm sure these boats have practiced against one another. There might have been some seat racing that went into this boat selection, and so they're having a great time. And the wind is starting to gust a little bit more. We can feel it on the shore. That's going to create another level of instability as these boats finish. And of course, that is against the final sprint, which is harder to pull off because you're going up at a higher rate of striking. As your strokes per minute elevate, it is harder to stay balanced and poised. And so to add that windiness is just going to make it a little bit harder for these athletes. A little bit more exertion will go into each stroke, and ultimately leading them to be more drained by the end. And so sometimes lactic acid threshold does catch up with us, and things can happen at the finish line, up to and including nausea, vomiting, blackout, bloody hands, and exultation. But that's why we do it. And Sammamish bringing it up for their final sprint finish. Fantastic job from the Sammamish boat in their novice year. Still learning the ropes, still figuring out what it means to row, how to race. And they just rocked that finish, unofficially around the 7-minute 30 mark. That is a great time for a novice coxed 4. Congratulations to that boat. Wow, an unofficial 7:28.3. That is so exceptional. Props to that hard-fought race from Sammamish. You absolutely love to see novices getting that excitement for the sport early on in their rowing careers. You never know where these novices are going to end up. Sometimes rowing, later in life. Sometimes rowing in college. But whatever it is that they end up doing with the sport, you hope that they hold on to these fun memories from races like these, where there was a healthy bit of competition. And Green Lake taking second from their counterparts, the other Green Lake boat, which took third. So it went Sammamish for gold, Green Lake silver, Green Lake bronze, and then Rose City in fourth. And I think we had Commencement Bay and Bainbridge. Yep, Commencement Bay, and then Bainbridge bringing up the rear of that pack. Coming up next, we have the second of our men's youth novice coxed 4 timed finals. Featuring in lane 1, Mount Baker, lane 2, Lakeside, lane 3, Bothell High, Lane 4, Eastside Prep. Lane 5, Clam Island. And Lane 6, Pocock. Alrighty, we are 2 minutes and 20 seconds into our next race. Oh, and unfortunately, it looks like we had a scratch from the Pocock boat. So lane 6, Pocock, is not going to be competing in this. But in lane 1, we have Mount Baker. Lane 2, Lakeside. Lane 3, Bothell. Lane 4, Eastside Prep. Lane 5, Clam Island. And as our drone catches up with this race, let's see what we can see here. Alrighty, folks, we've got eyes on the second men's youth novice coxed 4 timed final. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that we have a clear race leader so far in what might be Lakeside. Or Mount Baker. Yeah, I think that's Mount Baker in the lead right now. With, I believe, Eastside Prep in second place for this youth coxed 4 novice final, the second of 2. Coming up after this race, we've got the 2V single scull finals for the men's and women's event. And then after that, the men's U15 coxed quad finals. All right, it looks like Mount Baker still in this lead, with Eastside Prep in second. Seeing a lot of acceleration from this Mount Baker boat. You notice how the boat is just responding as they get their legs down. Seeing a little bit of washout with these blades, however. Not the cleanest of finishes, but definitive catches, all synced up and really driving together. The legs are all getting down together. You're seeing a lot of acceleration. You can see those little ripples and swirls off of the stern of the boat towards your right on the screen. As we come up to 5 minutes and 15 seconds in this race, we're starting to be able to make visual contact with them from the shore.
Hey, Tessa, you can come on in.
And you can even see the whitewash from the shore as well. And having a look there up at that Eastside Prep boat too, they look like they're also having trouble with their finishes, and that might be a feature of this tailwind, making it a little bit harder to pull the blades out of the water as they deal with the added speed. Coming into the final 500 meters of this race. Oh, a little bit of a toss and a tumble there. Seeing bow seats having a difficult time managing his blade a little bit. Oh, 2-seat is off of his seat there. Oh no, they are losing acceleration as 2-seat tries his best to make it work without his seat. It looks like he's just rocking and rolling with his hips on his slides there. That's a tough position to be in. He's not able to get his legs down all the way. He's really only just rowing with his torso. Thank goodness they have a big lead, because that's probably getting eaten into stroke by Eastside Prep. It makes you wonder if maybe he should stop and put his seat back on, but that would just wreck the momentum of what they're building towards now. But it does look like Eastside Prep is catching up with them. So a little bit of a malfunction in the equipment But nonetheless, Mount Baker is committed to continuing with their 2-seat off of his sliding seat. He's probably just operating with his hips and his glutes on the sliders, which is not comfortable by any means. But he might have lost his seat. It might have come right off the tracks and is rattling around in the boat, which can also be disorienting for the rest of the crew. But they're making it work. I mean, they still have their rhythm, and huge props to that 2-seat for not letting his blade work really suffer. He's trying to get as much leg drive as he can, but he can't get his legs all the way down without being on his seat. And he's making it work all the same. Huge amount of heart in this 2-seat from Mount Baker. Absolutely refused to stop. So Mount Baker took the win despite 2-seat having a pretty big disadvantage there. And that was about a 7:53, 7:54 finish. We'll get that official time or unofficial time real quick. Oh, it was a 7:49. 7:49 from Mount Baker to take the win over, I think it was Eastside Prep in second place position. Yeah, with an 8:02 unofficially. Eastside Prep taking second place position there. As the rest of those boats come on up to the finish line. All right, and in third place, that was Bothell, followed by Clam Island, and then Lakeside in fifth place position from that last race. And right now we are 4.5 minutes into the women's youth novice coxed 4 time final, 1 of 2. It looks like we have 6 boats in that race. Lane 1, Seattle Scullers. Lane 2, South Eugene. Lane 3, Burton Beach. Lane 4, Seattle Prep. Lane 5, North Cascades. And Lane 6, Whatcom. I think North Cascades is in the lead right now up there in Lane 5.
Isn't that the page that skipped?
I take it back. Those lane assignments were not correct. In Lane 1, Bainbridge. Lane 2, Everett. Lane 3, Pocock. Lane 4, Holy Names. Lane 5, Lakeside. Lane 6, Sammamish. And so that would place, I think, Lakeside in the lead here of this Cox 4 event. Or no, that is Sammamish. Oh, all the way in the top on the left. Yes, there they are. My production team is invaluable, keeping me on the tight and narrow here. It is a very spread out field. So Sammamish in lane 6 has a commanding lead over the rest of the field. I believe that's Lakeside in second with Pocock in third. But yeah, Sammamish all the way up in front as we approach 6 minutes. And riding along with Sammamish in the women's youth novice coxed 4. Nice and synced up row here from the Sammamish crew. Oh, I spoke too soon. As we've seen earlier in today's racing, that 500-meter mark really does come with a little bit more wind, and it's been throwing off some teams. Nonetheless, Sammamish in a clear and commanding lead. It looks as though they're definitely going to take the win here. As we come up to the 8-minute mark, it looks like Sammamish is about to cross into the final 50 meters of the race. And a great sprint finish from Sammamish as they cross the finish line in about an 8:05. Unofficial announcer time. And we are looking at the finish now of the rest of the field, featuring Bainbridge, Everett, Pocock, Holy Names, and Lakeside. I think the next boat to finish will be Holy Names. And the third place boat looks like it's having a little bit of an equipment malfunction. I think somebody might have come off of their seat up there in Everett's boat. I think that is Everett, yeah. Oh, they've got it back though. Just in time to clinch a third place finish across that finish line. So Sammamish ended up winning that with an 8:06. Holy Names took second with an 8:38. And we'll see about the third place bronze medal position. Everett taking third with an 8:51. Congratulations to those 3 medal winning boats today. Our next race is going to be the Women's Youth Novice Coxed 4 Part 2. Lane 1, Mount Baker B. Lane 2, Holy Names. Lane 3, Rose City. Lane 4, Bainbridge. Lane 5, Green Lake. And Lane 6, Green Lake B. All right, and we are riding along now with the second part of the Women's Youth Novice Coxed 4. And it looks like Green Lake up at the top of our screen is in the lead. All right, so we've got Green Lake B in the lead, followed by Bainbridge in second, with Rose City right behind them in third. And the first Green Lake boat is in fourth place, but just barely. They are trying to claw their way back to Green Lake, and I think Holy Names is back there in fifth. But right now we are riding along with Green Lake B, who has about a boat and a half open length over the Rose City boat.
1,000 meters.
As these boats are coming up on 1,000 meters to go. And the wind does seem to be turning a little bit more in the cross direction, so it's less of a clean tailwind now than when we started earlier this morning, and we're seeing more of a cross-thatched wind direction that's going to make it just a little bit harder to keep clean blade work, and I think we're seeing that here with these boats right now. It looks like Holy Names is starting to pick up speed, though, so Holy Names might be taking second place. But perhaps not. Rose City fighting it out. So in first place right now, we still have Green Lake in lane 6. All right, Green Lake just entering the final 500-meter stretch here. Coming into the final pylons and visual sight on the beach. It does look like a pretty good race for second, however. The second Green Lake boat trying to get into second, but just having a real time of it in these cross tailwind conditions and not quite able to catch up to the second place Rose City boat. All right, and coming into the final strokes of this race, Green Lake B over in lane 6 of this Women's Youth Coxed 4 event, the second of our timed finals today. A real battle for bronze and silver, though, however, behind them. It looks like Rose City has held on to that lead. But the Green Lake boat in lane 5 is doing everything they can to try to get into silver. I don't think it's going to be enough, but they are, oh man, they're coming back. Who knows? Holy smokes. I don't know where that second Green Lake boat got it from, but they might have just got it over the Rose City crew for silver. I am not entirely sure. Wow. That was a great race. Okay, we have unofficial times. Green Lake for the win with 8:37. However, Bainbridge, it wasn't the second Green Lake boat. It was Bainbridge got an 8:49 just ahead of Rose City. Congratulations to those two boats on a hard-fought race throughout. And Mount Baker B taking 4th place position for that race with a 9:11. Great work, Mount Baker B. And Holy Names comes in for 5th with a 9:22. And I think we've got the second Green Lake boat just about to cross the line now. Give it up for Green Lake B.
God, I love how fast this thing is.
Watching it take off, especially at the bank angle, I thought it was about to flip over.
Yeah.
And coming up next, the 2V double scull finals. Starting with lane 1, Pocock, lane 2, Seattle Prep, lane 3, Whatcom, lane 4, South Eugene, lane 5, Vancouver Lake, and lane 6, Vashon. All right, and we've got some action on the course now. And it looks as though Vancouver Lake might be in the lead of this race early on, with South Eugene right behind them. And a pretty close race for third between Whatcom and Seattle Prep. I think I see Vashon in 5th and Pocock in the rear with 6th right now. But yeah, I think we've got Vancouver Lake with a pretty clear lead over South Eugene right now in 2nd. Vancouver Lake with about it's about a deck open water over South Eugene. And it's a pretty dead heat for third right now. I don't know who's going to get that bronze between Whatcom and Seattle Prep, but they are racing to their utmost to pick up their hardware today. Speaking of picking up hardware, if you are the proud winner of any of our medals today, please come check out the awards tent / announcers tent / drone tent / broadcast tent / battery tent / laptop tent. And we are riding along right now with the men's youth 2V double scull finals. Such exciting times here at Vancouver Lake. The energy is high. The tailwind is higher. As it's turning into a slight cross, more of a cross than we've seen this weekend, coming in from the port side of these rowers' oars. And it looks as though we're having a little bit of action for first. South Eugene is starting to claw their way back on Vancouver Lake. They've got some overlap. It looks like their decks are overlapped with the stern and the bow intersecting. And it looks as though South Eugene is kind of approaching that buoy line. And if Vancouver Lake comes over to their port just a little bit more, there might be some blade clashing. And hopefully both boats can stay clear of that so that they don't incur any penalties. It looks as though South Eugene is still accelerating, and they are drawing more and more level with Vancouver Lake with each stroke that they take. And we've got a close-up now from the drone, and it looks as though these boats are drawing level. I don't know what Vancouver Lake has left in the tank, but South Eugene is starting to say, hey, we're coming for you. And I think that they've just taken that gold medal position. That's right, folks. South Eugene has just taken first place over Vancouver Lake. We'll see if it can stick. Sometimes we see a heated rush with a mid-race sprint, only to be checked later by the actual sprint of the boat that was overtaken. But it doesn't seem as though Vancouver Lake has a response. We have questions. Will they answer? Wow, this boat from South Eugene just having a real nice scull. They just look to be muscling it through the water, though. It's a right scramble of a race here as we approach the finish. You can see these 2V double sculls. So much passion coming through loud and clear. As South Eugene takes it across the line. They've opened up open water between them and the rest of the field. Vancouver Lake could not get it back. And it looks as though I think Seattle Prep is going to be taking third today. All right, unofficially, South Eugene in first with the 737. Congratulations, South Eugene, with their gold in 7 minutes, 37 seconds. And Vancouver Lake taking a hard-fought second place with a 7:41.8 unofficial time. In third, Seattle Prep with the 7:46. And there you have it, folks. That is unofficially our gold with South Eugene, silver with Vancouver Lake, bronze Seattle Prep. Congratulations to our men's youth 2V double scull final winners. Alrighty, folks, up next we have the Women's Youth 2V Double Scull Finals. Featuring in Lane 1, Vancouver Lake. Lane 2, Burton Beach. Lane 3, Pocock. Lane 4, North Cascades. Lane 5, Lake Oswego. And Lane 6, Vashon Island. If you're hanging out on shore and want to play around online, I have two options for you to check out. The first, check out our official USRowing YouTube feed. If you need to hang out at the parking lot or go back to your tent, you can tune into all the action on your phone via YouTube. If you have friends and family back home, send them on over to the USRowing YouTube account where you can tune in live and hear commentary and see drone footage today. Also, check out herenow.com. That's herenow.com, our official timing resource today for the schedules, the results, all the good stuff. And we are right now 4 minutes and 15 seconds into the Women's Youth 2V Double Scull Finals. And it looks like we've got an early race leader in the North Cascades. North Cascades Rowing. Rocking and roaring in the lead. I think behind them, Lake Oswego in second place. And in third, I think that might be the Pocock boat. Yep, in third place, we've got Pocock. So there you have it, folks. North Cascades, a relatively newer rowing organization in the Northwest. Love to see new talent coming onto the scene here. With Lake Oswego Community Rowing down from Oregon, not too far away here in second. And Pocock doing a great job in third place. However, there is some fierce speed coming Pocock's way from Burton Beach in lane 2. And in lane 1, Vancouver Lake is starting to surge. So we'll see if Pocock can hold on to that third place bronze medal position. It's still anyone's race yet, with 5 minutes 30 seconds on the clock right now. All right, and we are back riding along with the Women's Youth 2V Double Scull Finals, approaching the 6.5-minute mark of this race. And I think we are still seeing North Cascades with a dominant lead in this event right now. They've got about 2 boat lengths of open water, followed by Lake Oswego in lane 5. And they are about bow to stern with the Pocock boat that has maintained that bronze medal position. Followed after them by Burton Beach in 4th, and I think Vancouver Lake in 5th, with Vashon bringing up the rear of the pack here today. We are doing great on time today. We are running on time. So much thanks for all of our volunteers, hardworking race organizers, all of the coaches, officials, medical personnel, making today's event happen, to say nothing of the parents, and super duper awesome support that each of these athletes has today to make the rowing happen. 7.5 minutes into this race, the Women's Youth 2V Double Scull Finals. And we are still seeing North Cascades in the lead, Lake Oswego behind them, and Pocock to the right of your screen. All these boats kicking it up a notch as they approach the finish line, and the cheers of the crowd here. You see those mighty pylons indicating the final meters of this race. All right, and our race results from that Women's 2V Double Scull Final. North Cascades took gold with an 8:38. Lake Oswego pulled it in with an 8:42 for silver. And Pocock ended up taking bronze with an 8:47. Burton Beach right after that, though, with an 8:51 for 4th place. Coming up next, we're going to see some big boats throwing down with the men's and women's 2v8 events. The men's 2v8 is already on the field 3 minutes into their race. We've got lane 1, Inglemore, lane 2, Bainbridge, lane 3, Rose City, lane 4, Green Lake, lane 5, Sammamish, and lane 6, Everett. And we are zooming in right now to see what is what and who is who on this 2v8 field right now. And right away it looks like we've got some contention. Rose City is in 3rd right there versus Green Lake, I believe, in the lead right now, and Sammamish up top, I think, in 2nd. So there you have it, folks. We've got Green Lake in the lead, Sammamish in 2nd, with Rose City in 3rd. And they all look pretty secure in those positions right now. I'm not seeing too much change, although Rose City might be walking a little bit on Sammamish. Yeah, I think Rose City is challenging Sammamish for that 2nd place position. Green Lake looks as though it might be falling back a little bit as well. Yep, it looks like Sammamish did just claim some more water over Rose City. There's a bow to deck overlap between Sammamish and Rose City, but in the meantime, Sammamish is trying to claw back a little bit on Green Lake, and it looks like they're at about 2 seats down right now. But we'll see what Green Lake has in response to that as we approach 4 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. This is turning into a fun one. I think Sammamish just took another seed out of Green Lake. See both these crews trying to keep their heads in the boat. It's never easy when you've got somebody in your lane right next door, but it is so disruptive to the boat when you take your brain and cock it to the side. Everybody's head weighs about 10 pounds more or less, and so when you take a 10-pound weight and you swivel a little bit, it can have some disruptive effects on the boat. And yet I see both these boats are doing a pretty good job now of keeping the focus in as they approach their finish. Sammamish has taken back a seat or two. Green Lake is only holding on to about a 3-seat lead. Sammamish has been walking, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Oh my goodness. Sammamish is pouring on the speed. You know, I think if they had another 1,000 meters, it might be a different race, but unfortunately it is only a 2K today. Who knows what Sammamish could do, though? I'm not writing them off just yet. Green Lake is losing ground every stroke. Can they hold it? Sammamish is now half of a boat through Green Lake and walking more and more every stroke. Sammamish bringing up the rate. Green Lake only has 3 seats of lead as they come up to the finish line. Oh my goodness. I wondered if Sammamish was going to do something magical, but Green Lake just held strong. Green Lake did not want to go out without a fight. And so they took that unofficially in 6:18 or 6:16. Sammamish got 6:18 on Green Lake. What a great race that was. You know, you never know what could happen. It's anybody's race to win until the finish line. Rose City, congratulations to them, gets bronze with a 6:25. Some great racing today here at the US Rowing Northwest Youth Championship Regatta. Thank you everybody for being here with us, either digitally on YouTube or in person here at Vancouver Lake. Beautiful Vancouver Lake, Washington. Not to be confused with Vancouver, Canada, far to the north. It's about 67 degrees right now. We have a slight cross tailwind helping out some speed, but also hindering some blade work, unfortunately. And we are showing that the 11 mile per hour wind right now is coming in from the north by northwest, which is giving us just that slight cross condition. Minimal gusting I'm reporting, but we are feeling some gusts here down at the finish line. And we've really seen that take its toll on boats in the final 500 meters. It's been a little bit tricky. We haven't seen anybody cross over lanes just yet, but you can definitely tell that it's getting harder to maintain a straight line, especially for some of these non-coxed boats or novice coxed boats. So something to be mindful of as we watch the next boats kick off today. We've got the Women's Youth 2v8 finals starting with Inglemoor in lane 1, Rose City lane 2, lane 3 Green Lake, lane 4 Holy Names, lane 5 Sammamish, and lane 6 Mount Baker. So much excitement today. The shore is getting busier and busier. The energy is getting hyper and hyper. And the vibe is just vibier and vibier. Okay, and we're riding along right now with the Women's Youth 2v8 Finals. And I think we've got Holy Names in the lead of this race right now, followed by Green Lake in second and Rose City in third. Sammamish is in fourth in lane 5, and it looks like a pretty even tie between Inglemore and Mount Baker for 5th and 6th. Checking out Holy Names' lead right now, they seem to be about a seat's worth of open water over Green Lake. Holy Names is carrying a higher stroke per minute than Green Lake right now by just a little bit, as these boats approach the 3.5 minute mark of their race, about halfway through what looks to be a pretty fast 2v8 final today. And Rose City is coming under fire right now a little bit from Sammamish. Looks like Sammamish is starting to claw into third place contention. They're gaining some seats as Rose City struggles to hang on to that third place position. Woo! It looks as though Holy Names is just opening up more and more water between themselves and the rest of the field. Holy Names now with almost a full boat worth of open water between them and Green Lake. And I think Rose City just got walked through. I think we have a new third place boat in Sammamish. We'll see if Rose City can respond. They're still kind of hanging tough with Sammamish. There might be some chopping and changing between that third and fourth position. Okay, Rose City has taken it back. This is exciting stuff here, folks. Rose City now in third again. Not really able to, however, take any seats back on Green Lake. Green Lake still sitting firmly in second place. Taking really efficient strokes, Green Lake is. You can tell they're maintaining that forward body angle really well into the stroke, letting the legs do a lot of the work, a lot of core connection. And just some great rowing here from these 2v8s. Rose City still maintaining that third place position over Sammamish, but just barely. Sammamish is knocking at the door, and Holy Names is still having it all their own way up there in first. Holy Names just a commanding lead. Dominant performance by Holy Names right now. And again, a pretty fast stroke rate coming out of Holy Names. I think that they are the fastest stroke rate on the field right now. So some pretty aggressive rowing out of Holy Names. This 2V has something to prove today. And heads up to everybody on the shore. Heads up to everybody on the shore. Please make way for boats. Please, if you're standing on the shore, make way for boats and oars and volunteers doing their thing. Thank you, one and all. Boats on the shore coming through. All right, and we are seeing the final sprint starting to unfurl. Rose City still in third. Sammamish has not been able to make their way up into that bronze medal contention spot. Green Lake still holding firm in second. And Holy Names getting closer and closer to that gold medal with open water. As they light it up with their stroke rate, they are just cruising. And a lot of connection, just really, really clean row from that Holy Names crew. This is a very, very strong 2V boat in relation to the other boats today. And they crossed the finish line just, I think, ahead of 7 minutes. We'll get our unofficial times here shortly from our timers. Green Lake coming in for second. Rose City for third. And Sammamish right after them in fourth. Not quite able to get into the medals there. All right, in unofficial times, Holy Names took it in 7 minutes, .75. Green Lake with a second place position of 7:13, and Rose City in 7:16. Easy does it. Nice job. And coming up next, one of my personal favorite events, the men's quad finals. A lot of speed and potential in this group today. We saw some awesome time trialing in this event class yesterday, so we are real excited to see what comes of our men's quad final event, which is a minute underway right now. Lane 1, Eastside Prep. Lane 2, South Eugene. Lane 3, Seattle Prep. Lane 4, Oregon Unlimited. Lane 5, Pocock. And Lane 6, Lake Oswego. This is the men's youth quad final coming your way. Live from Vancouver Lake. All right, and we've got a pretty tight cluster of boats so far, making their way down the track with this drone footage, giving us all the updates. I think I'm seeing Oregon Unlimited, not surprising after their performance yesterday in the time trial, leading the way in first. And I think I see Seattle Prep right next to them in second, with South Eugene in third behind them. So, yep, that's what we're seeing. Wow, some real clean sculling today. This is just exemplary technical sculls out of our athletes. With Oregon Unlimited in first place, Seattle Prep in second in lane 3, and South Eugene down towards the bottom of your picture in lane 2 for third. Not to be forgotten, though, Pocock and Lake Oswego are having a little battle up there on the top of your screen, trying to make it into that bronze medal contention. I'm not sure, but Lake Oswego might be gaining ground on Seattle Prep for third. We'll see what happens there. In the meantime, however, Oregon Unlimited is cruising in this men's youth quad final event. And it looks as though Pocock has walked through Lake Oswego there, up on the top of your picture. Pocock in lane 5, taking over fourth place position. We'll see if they have anything to say to South Eugene about taking third place. But right now we still have Oregon Unlimited in first, with Seattle Prep in second and South Eugene in third place. Pocock now taking a commanding fourth over Lake Oswego, who has fifth position, and Eastside Prep, I think, has sixth right now. Real smooth sculling out of those Pocock boys as we pan out up to our race leaders. Oh, man. Oregon Unlimited is just having the scull of their lives. They are rowing so long, so connected. Really calm on the recovery for this Oregon Unlimited crew. Leading by about 3 seats right now. There is overlap, and it looks like Seattle Prep is starting to walk a little bit. Seattle Prep, I think, just gained a seat. So right now we are watching Oregon Unlimited in lane 4, duking it out with Seattle Prep in lane 3. Oregon Unlimited trying to shut the door on Seattle Prep, but Seattle Prep, I think, is gaining a little bit of water with each stroke, but not quite able to draw level just yet. We're 4.5 minutes into this race as these boats approach the final quarter of their final event here of their Youth Championship Regatta. And something worth mentioning is that a lot of these racers have nationals on their minds. Nationals, of course, have a limited amount of entries and berths, and these athletes are all contending for those spots at the National US Rowing Youth Championship Regatta. And maybe later in the summer, they might even be vying for U19 spots on the national team. So it's so exciting to see such homegrown talent potentially having the chance to represent their boathouses and maybe even their nation on the national and international level. All right, and I was just informed that top 4 will be going to nationals if it is a qualifying entry. So these top 4 spots are the most coveted to get to nationals. And right now we are watching Oregon Unlimited having the skull of their lives. They've opened up open water on Seattle Prep, who had contact a mere minute ago. Seattle Prep now has fallen back. And Oregon is just, wow, in the midst of a crazy sprint. You can tell they've really driven up the stroke rate here. I think they're approaching 40 strokes a minute. Seattle Prep, though, starting to eke their way back. I don't think that there's enough water for them to do anything about the silver or gold medal contention positions right now. However, it is worth noting, I think I see that Pocock has taken 3rd position. As we were watching the 1st and 2nd place battle unfurl, Pocock came back for 3rd. Pocock got bronze in that race. That was very impressive because South Eugene and Seattle Prep both had a lot of speed to supply. But there you have it, folks. Oregon Unlimited with an absolute rager of a skull in 6:25 taking 1st, with Seattle Prep at 6:28 in 2nd. And in 3rd, we had, I believe, Pocock. Yeah, for 3rd at 6:31. That's a great time for this men's youth quad final event. Coming up next, the women's youth quad finals. We see entries in that from lane 1, Burton Beach, lane 2, Rogue, lane 3, Pocock, lane 4, Oregon, lane 5, Seattle Prep, and lane 6, Bainbridge. All right, and here we are tuning in live with the women's youth quad final event. We are here at Lake Vancouver, Vancouver Lake, with a clear race leader. I think that's Oregon Unlimited. Wow, the quads from Oregon Unlimited are unmatched today. I think I see Pocock in 2nd, just barely over Rogue in 3rd, with Seattle Prep in 4th, Bainbridge in 5th, and I think Burton Beach is at the rear of the pack there. But right now, wow, we are seeing unprecedented rowing from Oregon Unlimited. Their quads are just on fire this weekend. As they have open water, about a full boat length of open water against the Pocock boat. And the Pocock boat doesn't have open water on the boats competing for 3rd. Even though Pocock is in 2nd, there is overlap between them and the Rogue boat and Seattle Prep to their other side. But we'll see what this Pocock boat can do. Rogue is knocking on their door. However, Pocock does seem to have cleaner blade work than the 3rd and 4th, or the 4th and 5th metal boats right now. So we'll see what they can do. It's still anyone's race here now. 3 minutes and 15 seconds into this women's youth quad final. All right, jumping back aboard with our women's youth quad scull final. Approaching the final quarter of the race. Oregon Unlimited with a massive lead ahead of the rest of the pack, and Pocock has secured their second place position a little bit more firmly, however not by much over Rogue, who still has overlap with that bow to stern deck contact that they have there. And it looks as though Seattle Prep is in fourth place, with Bainbridge up there in lane 6 in 5th. And I believe Burton Beach is back at the rear of the pack there off screen. But now we're going to go ahead and take a ride with Oregon Unlimited. I don't know what they're putting in the water there, but holy smokes, it smells like quad success, whatever it is. And riding along with this group here, you can see a real emphasis on smooth drives. Their legs are just all getting down together. The boat is responding as they do so, but it's not jarring. You can take a look at the bow there and see that there's not a lot of shudder, not a lot of disruption to the boat. These recoveries are all very smooth as these oars are getting into the water. And it's just a real treat to see, especially with those rear-mounted riggers, how the force is being applied against the boat to just create continual acceleration towards the bow. And just a real treat to see as they open up even more open water. Oh my gosh, I'm pretty excited to see these times that are about to be posted, but also just in shock, because Oregon Unlimited has clearly tapped into some quad sculling success here to great effect today. All right, and we have our unofficial times from that youth women's quad final. In first, Oregon Unlimited with a 6:57, a commanding lead over the rest of the field. In silver, Pocock with a 7:18, and taking the bronze, Rogue with the 7:20. Behind them, in fourth, Seattle Prep, and then Bainbridge in fifth with the 7:25. Thank you to everybody for a great morning's worth of racing. We are going to go take a break from now until our next boats will be coming down the course at 12:40 Pacific Standard Time. We'll be starting up with the men's 3V coxed 4 finals. That'll be up after the lunch break, happening here now. And thank you to Here Now for giving us all of our results and schedule. If you need any questions answered about results or schedules for the upcoming weekend's worth of racing, please tune in to HereNow.com. Additionally, check out YouTube.com. Search for the USRowing Northwest Championship Regatta stream, happening with drones and commentators and times and excitement and all the good things. So racing will resume at 12:40 p.m. Thank you one and all for a great morning. Please apply your sunscreen, please hydrate, and we'll see you after the break.